Well, ladies and gentlemen, now it is time for the cloud transformation panel discussion. We're talking about the topic, how cloud will prevail, building a cloud strategy. Create a policy, strategy, and an adoption plan. Establish a fully empowered cloud center of excellence, supplement skill shortage, and seek knowledge transfer. Recognize the need of optimization as an integral part of cloud migration, adopting a hybrid multi-cloud strategy, mitigate the challenges of virtualization, benefits of adopting IaaS, data ownership and privacy, ensuring compliance and security in a regulated industry. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have with us our panelists, Bharat B. Anand, CIO and CDO, Ministry of Home Affairs. Well, Bharat, with over 22 years of experience, has worked across geographies globally and industry sectors while holding senior management positions in corporate. A seasoned IT professional having proficiencies in IT strategy, IT governance, who innovatively use both contemporary and traditional technologies to deliver business transformation while ensuring timeliness and managing cost of deliveries. Sandip Trivedi, GM IT IRCTC, a technocrat who joined Indian Railways Personal Services in 1994 after working the length and breadth of rail network in various verticals of human resources. Sandip joined IRCTC in 2015 as the Group General Manager and has passion for IT adoption and innovation to solve daily problems of humankind. Also, we have Amol Pai, the Chief Technology Officer, State Bank of India. Well, Amol, being the Chief Technology Officer at State Bank of India since October 2019 and is based out of Mumbai. His current portfolio includes managing the IT infrastructure of the bank and the YONO application. Prior to SBI, Amol worked with Yes Bank as a Group President and Head Digital Banking Technology, Treasury Technology, Testing Center of Excellence, and AI NLP. Also, we have Hardik Doshi, Senior Cloud Sales Specialist, VMware India. Hardik has been associated with the Indian IT industry for more than 15 years. He's done multiple roles as an IT solution sales professional with special focus on multi-cloud, security, mobility, and hybrid cloud. At VMware, he leads the VMware Cloud on AWS business, essentially covering customers in multiple industry segments across the country and is responsible for both the business growth and consumption by engaging and collaborating with core sales, engineering, customer success, and ecosystem partners. And this entire panel discussion is going to be moderated by Pamela Kumar, President, Cloud Computing Innovation Council of India. Well, Ms. Pamela has been appointed as the Director General of TSDSI. She's somebody with 30 plus years of industry experience in the field of information technology, established organizational frameworks and culture for execution excellence, innovation, and global technical eminence. Pioneered various cross-organizational and cross-industry consortia in new technology areas like cloud computing, RFID, and medical electronics. Well, welcome Pamela, Hardik, Amol, Sandip, and Bharat, and thank you so much for joining us today. Over to you, Pamela, for taking it forward with your panel.
Thank you, Bhavna. So, welcome to everybody. We're looking for an exciting panel discussion here. I request all the panelists to please turn on their videos. I see that Amol and Hardik are already on. Now we have Bharat. Bharat, can you also switch on your video? Okay, so we have all the panelists. I request all the attendees to please familiarize themselves with the Q&A box. So as we go through the panel session, please put your questions in the Q&A box. We would like to spend some quality time addressing your questions. This is a very unique set of panelists that we have, representing three very important verticals from e-governance, to the railways and banking. And then we have a technologist, in Hardik from VMware. So I think this is going to be a very, very interesting and very exciting session. Sandip, we have lost your video. So the topic, as they said, is about how will cloud prevail? Building a cloud strategy. So way back in 2012, when we initiated CCICI, the Cloud Computing Innovation Council of India, on the behest of Sam Pitroda, he said we need a think tank on cloud computing to advise the government. And we realized at that time that there were a lot of misconceptions about cloud. Cloud was just a buzzword. People were not even sure whether it's going to last or it's just another buzzword that will, after 6 months or 1 year get replaced by another. Whereas we who came together in CCICI were very passionate that this is going to be a transformational technology. We did a study where it came across that almost 90 to 95% of CIOs are convinced that cloud is the way to go. But how to make that happen was the question, right? This was in 2017-18 timeframe. Today, there's no question. I mean, everybody is convinced about cloud. Everybody is making inroads into adoption of cloud. Okay. So the question on how will cloud prevail, building a cloud strategy. I think the second part is more important. That how are people making this transition to adoption of cloud? And there are variants of cloud. There's the private cloud, there's the hybrid cloud, there's public cloud. And what exactly are they doing, right? And hopefully we'll get some very interesting insights as we go through it. So we will start with Amol. Amol is from the banking industry, from State Bank of India. And Amol, I think we want to understand from you the significance of or the strategy that SBI has taken in terms of creating a policy, and also some insights into developing appropriate skill sets to make them successful. So can you please share with us your journey and your insights from SBI?
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for the invite. So yes, it's very important that when you mentioned that cloud was a buzzword at a point in time and everyone wanted to do something about it, but it was not too sure as to what needs to be done. So it's very important that you first set up a policy. What exactly do you want to do on the cloud, and what is the perceived benefit that you would want to get out of it? So SBI was experimenting with its own private cloud setup way back in 2012 itself. And that's when they started seeing the benefits of using a cloud. I mean, there is ease of deployment, there is standardization, there is easy ramp up and ramp down, so on and so forth. So the private cloud was showing benefits. At the same time, the service providers started offering a lot of solutions on their public cloud. And that's when the bank took a straightforward decision, or a policy was set up saying that all applications which are required to be hosted with ease, we will put it up on the private cloud. And whatever solution which is available off the shelf from the public cloud is something which we'll adopt in a SaaS model. So that's where we started using the O365 platform from a public cloud perspective. During this time, over the last 3-4 years, a very interesting concept started coming up is the use of a hybrid cloud. Now, what exactly is a hybrid cloud for us is when you have the public cloud, but it is restricted completely to the use of SBI itself. So it is like a private space within a public property, but you get all the benefits of what a public cloud has to offer. So currently the State Bank of India is experimenting with a hybrid cloud, and we have our policies very well laid out that what exactly will this hybrid cloud be used for, what is it a private cloud will be used for, and what is it a public cloud will be used for. Once you have this policy, it is very easy for you to segment out the applications that can be hosted into each of these three segments that you have identified. So hence, it's very important for you to have a strategy. Then you know what applications can be put up on it. And once you know the applications, you can set up a timeline and you can start reaping the benefits. This is the structured way in which we have adopted the three types of clouds that are available right now.
That's very good insights, Amol, that it all begins with a strategy, and the strategy is all about understanding your applications or your use cases on how you, what are the pros and cons of moving to a public cloud versus private cloud, and a hybrid strategy. What should you keep in the private cloud? What should be going into public cloud? Secure different SLAs for each application and making those transitions. So in fact, the empanelment process that CCICI got involved with MeitY to define the cloud empanelment process, we actually worked on a framework for that. And and I hope the public sector would also leverage the framework for empanelment of cloud service providers based on SLAs. So now moving on to Sandip. Yeah, Sandip, can you provide your insights on the multi-cloud strategy, the hybrid cloud strategy, and the data privacy aspects in your journey in railways as you have been adopting cloud?
Yeah. And good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for inviting me in such a great show. I'll go back to the days when the IRCTC was found, and we started ticketing for railways. In 2000, IRCTC decided to do the ticketing for railways, and from humble beginning of booking just 5 tickets in a day, we are now clicking about 10 lakh tickets in a day. And apart from the 10 lakh tickets in a day, we are cancelling about 2 lakh tickets in a day. So total transaction count is around 11 to 12 lakhs a day. And apart from that, around 5 to 6 times the people are visiting our site to inquire about the different various available options. So this is the kind of the traffic when we have around 77% of the total ticketing on our platform. Remaining is still with the PRS. So this data which we collect during the ticketing transaction is a very crucial from the point of view of railways as well as from the point of view of the customer, because we not only hold the personal identification information, but we also know where the customer will be traveling in next 4 months and how he will be traveling, when he will be traveling, and along with whom he will be traveling. And this is a very important data. So we are very much into it that this data is not lead to any such agents which can misuse it. And that's why since beginning we have been using our own data centers. However, for last 3-4 years we have started our journey where some less important apps and portals and systems have been hosted in cloud too. We have multiple other portals like our tourism portal, our catering portal, our air ticketing, our Maharaja ticketing portal, e-catering, and so many others. So few are hosted in public cloud, and few others are hosted in a private cloud.
Okay, so thank you, Sandip. I think you brought out some very interesting points here, that the attractiveness of cloud, given the kind of fluctuation that you see in your load, is very, and the elasticity that cloud can provide is very much there. But on the other hand, the data privacy aspects, that you don't want it to be leaked out who is traveling and with whom they are traveling. So that is very sacrosanct. That information is very private and very sacrosanct, and it is the responsibility of the railways to ensure that privacy. So given this dilemma, you have gone for a hybrid model where you have identified those applications which can be moved to a private cloud without compromising the privacy aspects, and the ones which need to be very secure and the privacy needs to be ensured, you are keeping them in the private cloud. But even the private data center has now become a cloud-enabled data center, so that there is some level of elasticity that you can exploit in a cloud architecture. So thank you very much, Sandip. I think this is very, very good insights on how railways is embracing this new technology. And now we move over to Bharat from the Ministry of Home Affairs. And Bhavana gave us a very good rundown about his vast experience that he brings to the table. So Bharat, over to you. Please tell us the perspectives from the ministry, with a special focus on multi-cloud strategy that you are adopting as well, and your need for multi-cloud, as well as the cybersecurity kind of nuances to it. So please, over to you, Bharat.
Thank you, Pamela ji, and good morning to all my fellow panelists, and thanks Trescon for having me over here this morning. I think some of the facets were very interesting, which before me, Amol and Sandip has talked about it. Perhaps good part is now no more we need to talk about or explain what is cloud and why we need cloud. Well, at least that journey, and perhaps some of the organizations like Gartner and others have done a good job around that, inclusive of the organizations within the government too, to talk about the necessity of and why it is required. Probably that need has been well understood about it. I think as being said, and just now Sandip mentioned about how they, or Amol also, how they have started looking into and diversifying, seeing moving away from private cloud to public cloud and all. Maybe it is high time that we stop defining public versus private versus hybrid cloud, because ultimately they are going to be clouds. And there will be multiple nature of clouds. We are now in the world or living in the era where we are using different service provider for different services itself. For example, we are using email used to be one of the most critical aspects of business, running the business, and something which most of the people have adopted, either going to Office 365 or Google Mail part of it, and Google applications as part of that. So effectively, if I put it, the most critical aspect has been rolled out to the cloud and given it to the the safe heavens of saying cloud is where this should be run into, and I think that is more safer than what is being run at our premise about it. But perhaps it's also an important aspect to think through what and how we should plan that, and that is where the strategy for multi-cloud, or sometimes we confuse between multi-cloud and hybrid cloud also, because more or less it's like apple to apple or apple to oranges part of it and all that. It's like all rectangles, squares, and all squares, rectangles kind of, part of it. But the important aspect is that why we are doing this. We are, as the enterprises, and it is, and the figures show, almost about 82% of the enterprises are already using cloud, and many of them are using multiple clouds. And I named SaaS-based tools for that matter anyways about it. Many of them are using IaaS-based. So effectively what we are talking about, we have Office 365, for example, for emails coming from somewhere. We are having our travel maybe running on some other SaaS-based provider providing that. ERPs are going over there, which is now, if we look at our HRMS is majorly on that. Oracle has started providing its entire e-business suite on this. SAP HANA is also coming, is there on the cloud part of it. What exactly is happening? If we see, it will be what we used to have, a diversified portfolio of vendors as OEM sitting in our premise, running for or helping us to run our products and services. It's now being that we have moved all that product and services to their end about it. Effectively, that is something that we are saying, you run the show for me, but I should be interested in that my transaction and my work is not getting impacted about that. Now, here are the two aspects which we really need to think about it. One, the integration between the clouds, because that's really going to be an important one. The second is the data governance, where when we talk about data governance, whether it is data classification, data dictionary, metadata management, so on and so forth about it, so that an Apple in O365 should be called as an Apple when it goes to SAP HANA about it, right? I'm just using the names about it so that it becomes easier to relate to it. But bottom line, integration, the data governance, these are the two aspects of it which we really need to think about. But when we are using multi-cloud strategy, we need to think about the security aspects about it. Perhaps one of the major tenet of, and in the recent times is, and more so it has got further exposed with pandemic, which has increased multifold. I think if we look at the spend which has been talked about in any other area other than cyber security, it has not increased that much. Cybersecurity is still being increased and spent is going on for the reason because the threats are real. Whether it's ransomware, PETIAs, non-PETIAs, 0 days, and so on and so forth. And they need to succeed once. We have to stop them every time. So probably sometimes we feel, oh, we have put it on cloud and they would be more secure, more better than, or more good than me. And I should be better off not have, I'm good. My data is secured because I have put it in the bank. Sorry, you may not be exactly like that, but you have to ensure that one, you have chosen a right bank to put in your money. Second, you also keep a check on that whatever is happening, those reports, those parameters, those aspects are talked. Third and foremost, please do not take the cybersecurity aspect leniently about it. You have to subscribe for those services. They don't come free. Many times, and I remember in our early days, we experienced this, and there was an outage in one of the email SaaS-based provider about it, and we said, why it is not. So you have actually subscribed for email-backed services, but you never subscribe for geographical pan-geographical availability. So otherwise, if you would have subscribed to this, we would have ported you to the another center from where it could have been catered. Now, how the hell somebody will think about all of these things? But now it is high time we should. They are not coming cheap. They are not coming free. There is a cost to all of that. But nonetheless, it is important that you think from defense in depth and security layers perspective, and take your due aspects of it, securing it right from the perimeter to the edge, maybe to the zero trust networks, which we are now talking about, because the offices are now in the homes, no more in the offices. And I was talking to the other day one of the largest bandwidth provider in India, and they said earlier the concentration of traffic used to be to most of the tech parks or most of the business areas about it. But ever since this pandemic has happened, that has gone negligible, and most of the traffic is now going to the homes. So probably it is the edge networks which need to be, or home networks which need to be secured, and we need to be wary about it because threats can come from there. So probably looking at these two aspects, I would say keep your eyes and ears to the ground. And cloud is, you cannot stop that. You need to have it. But bottom line, data, I repeat, data integration, data governance, and cybersecurity. These are the three fundamental aspects that we have to have it. Last line, please don't jump into the bandwagon saying humko sabko aadat hai. Sorry, using a Hindi lingo over here, some of the people won't understand. But we all as Indians, we understand. अरे वो सात वालों ने ले लिया टीवी, तो I mean सात next organization has bought cloud here, हमें भी कूदना चाहिए. We should also jump, कुछ तो है. So we should not get into our business requirement, our business process, our business fundamental, and the ethic that we need to deliver that should be paramount before we decide about it. That's what I would, my 2 cents about Pamela.
So Bharat, that was very interesting, and I think I would love to hear the amazing insights that you have. Maybe you should make a presentation sometime in more detail. There's a lot to be learned from you. So you are raising the fundamentals of why we should, even go the cloud way, and we are saying that cloud is a given. So I think this is a good discussion to have. And I think yesterday when we were having our prep session, we all alluded to the fact, we had a good hearty discussion around where there was a time when we used to keep our money in our tijori, in our safe in the house, or in the what do you call it, in our pillowcases or our mattresses, But now nobody keeps, even the people who are hoarding money don't keep it in cash in their houses, right? They found other ways, and it's either kept in the bank or now it's all virtual. So
you need to really still evaluate which bank and where you are putting up. Otherwise, there are cases where you are losing those monies in the bank too. So we have to be evaluating carefully on that. Yeah.
So the robber and cop journey is since time immemorial. Any new thing you do, the robber will find some other way. So there's a constant churn that we need to treadmill of adding security and securing things. So given those wonderful insights from the three verticals, I think we should now move on to our technologist Hardik to provide his perspective and give some of the answers on how technology is trending and how it is addressing all the questions that our specialists have from the vertical industries.
Yeah, first of all, thank you, Pamela and Trescon, for this wonderful opportunity, and really it's a privilege to be part of this eminent panel. While the good thing is we have heard from three different verticals, the kind of use cases and the adoption curve of cloud. Let me while Bharat rightly mentioned that it's all one cloud now. It's not, nobody defines today what is private, hybrid, or multi-cloud. Uh, but still, let me touch upon some of the aspects of why and how people should plan their adoption of cloud journey under each of these three aspects. So every organization today is under tremendous pressure to deliver business outcomes. Business outcomes are driven by the nature and the types of applications. An application defines the choice of infrastructure. Could be on-prem, could be public cloud, or on the edge. We have data available across the places, or we can consume data from various different locations, right? Uh, Based on business needs, today IT has a choice of running these applications from either public, private, or a multi-cloud kind of an environment. So one should really build a foundation of virtualized and software-defined infrastructure for all your applications. From private cloud stand, the approach one should really take is virtualize all your compute network, storage, security, and create a blueprint of software-defined data center. By adopting automation and operation tools, IT can deliver infrastructure as a service to the business. And typically, this kind of environment is being required by applications which are legacy in nature, which needs data proximity, which are monolithic in nature, which requires a highly low latency kind of an environment, especially in the stock exchanges. So this type of applications where you might need some kind of a provision to be made on premise and to be managed locally within your premises. And that's where the construct of private cloud with different automation and operations tools available is highly needed. And that's where you build your private cloud. Coming to hybrid cloud approach, it's a complete new operating model for an IT, right? Many applications, new applications, which organizations are building today can be built natively on the public cloud. Many existing applications which requires a lot of re-platforming and retransforming or repurpose the architecture can be migrated to the public cloud, but not all of them. How will you manage mix of VM and containerized based applications deployed across a mix of a data center, public cloud, and the edge? You need a hybrid cloud foundation that delivers consistent infrastructure and operations wherever you run your workloads. For someone who is looking for an increase in business agility, optimizing IT efficiency, and reduce business risk, hybrid cloud is the approach. With hybrid cloud, one can adopt use cases like cloud burst. For example, as Sandip sir mentioned, in IRCTC, the volume of ticket transactions has really gone high. uh, or any, let's say for an SBI portal, let's say the transactions per seconds during the month end or the peak, it increases, the peak goes high, right? You need a platform where you can burst out the workloads in the cloud and scale and provide agility and the scale to such applications. You need, in the COVID pandemic time situation, like business continuity plan exists now, right? You need a DR situation to be struck immediately for certain critical workloads and the applications. There are various workloads which are running for past ages of 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. The data center refresh comes into the place. The co-locations exist in India today, and there are a lot of leasing policies come for an expiry, and people are actually getting rid of the manageability of this, and they are looking for evacuating these workloads. And of course, the most important thing, how I can plan a migration of workloads seamlessly and modernize the apps. So these are various use cases where people can actually think of adopting a hybrid strategy. And coming to the most important, the multi-cloud, right? As Bharat sir, Sandip sir, and Amol rightly mentioned, one should define multi-cloud approach based on business needs. For SaaS and PaaS applications, clearly line of business will define the need for respective native cloud services. But from an infrastructure as a service stand, one should clearly define strategy around no vendor lock-in policy. You should avoid creating silos and islands of applications in multiple clouds. Organizations should build multi-cloud blueprint of which includes certain key parameters like single window of management, develop intrinsic security plan for all the workloads running across various service cloud providers, ease of portability of workloads between any cloud without refactoring or changing the construct of the apps, and should be able to run in a very cost effective manner. In short, for infrastructure as a services and modernization of apps, one should think of creating hybrid cloud strategy, which will become as a subset of multi-cloud approach. To summarize, with VMware Cloud Foundation platform, VMware is uniquely positioned today to provide this consistency of infrastructure and operations, along with complete set of software-defined services for compute, network, storage, security, and cloud management to run enterprise applications, traditional or containerized, either on private or public. So that's the viewpoint from my side, like how, based on the needs and the demands of business, keeping that in mind, defining the nature and the construct of the applications, keeping that in mind, plan out your strategy of positioning or deploying these applications under various buckets. And that's how I think IT has a more challenging role today to clearly come up with a very, very strong and foundational policies and the technology framework for every organization. So that's what I would like to contribute from the overall messaging stand on the adoption of the cloud journey. Over to you, Pamela. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Hardik. So I think summarizing what I understood, that everybody needs to start thinking multi-cloud, and hybrid cloud is just a subset of multi-cloud, right? With a private cloud arm to it. And the core of this, and the core of making multi-cloud work is interoperability and portability. So unless you have addressed the interoperability and portability question, or have your vendors to ensure that they are interoperable and seamlessly your applications are portable across multiple clouds, then you may not get the full advantage of what technology has to offer. And I think a very good example of this is, look at the internet. Right, in the pre-internet days, when I started my career out in the US in Bell Labs, we used to have these email service providers, and you used to log in into you would buy at our department level. We would go and buy email service from a particular service provider, and what was it called? America Online, or there were a few service providers, 3 or 4 service providers. And if I have if my department has taken an email from America Online and the other one has taken it from something AT&T email or something like that, then we can't send mails from this department to the other department, right? And then lo and behold, I mean, for government made ARPANET happen to allow emails to happen between the different parts of the defense services, and that got converted into IETF, which made the internet happen. And that's really what we need in cloud. So along with multi-cloud, we should talk about intercloud.
Yep.
Right? We need to create an intercloud world to really make this next paradigm. Today we are in the vendor lock-in model. Yep. You either sign up AWS, or you sign up Google, or you sign up Azure, right? And you get logged into that cloud. The portability, VMware is going to come and sell you something, but it's still not in the cloud, okay?
Yeah, but we have really come up with to address this problem statement, we have come up with a multi-cloud approach. Rather than coming up with our own cloud, we have partnered with all these service cloud providers and have come up with our cloud foundation solution, wherein you can actually
put.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, somebody wanted to say something. Yes, Sandip?
I was just saying, this is Bharat. I was just saying on a lighter side, VMware is trying to put itself into cloud by the virtue of making everybody into cloud.
So we are making, genuinely, we are trying to help people make their life easy, so that tomorrow you want to, if some cloud charges you really high, do I have an option to bring it back without changing the construct of application? Yes, today you have that option.
I think somewhere probably that has to come from the, not only from the consumer's aspect, but also from the people like VMware who have to talk to these providers, service providers, to start looking at beyond their geographies. As of now, they are, and which is what Prevail is trying to hit by saying AOL does not talk to AT&T Bell and the other emailing system. Probably that has to go. Though there are integration points that are available, but that is still not being seamless as such, right? We still have to have, if I have to go with AWS, I have to sign up with AWS. It cannot be that I can override what I have signed with, say, Google or Azure for that matter. Right?
Exactly. So that's still native. So with the kind of approach we are helping with people by running on-prem virtualize and the same OS on the other side as well, you are actually able to port the application. And there are thousands of customers who have actually started this journey and they are seeing the benefits.
But that still doesn't stop the benefit. But I think that still doesn't prevent from vendor lock-in because you have to sign up with those service providers for it. It is only a layer above that where you are saying, okay, I will virtualize you or your environment and provide you a seamless part of it, but I still have a lock-in that has to go into it. Right? Maybe
So from
not now, but that future is not that far away itself, when we will have that kind of possibility.
So,
Federated kind of structure.
Yeah, so we have a few questions here, and I think the first question on what are the top challenges in adoption of multi-cloud, I think we've kind of alluded to several of those, but I would throw it at the panelists if anybody wants to add something more beyond what has already been said on the challenges in adoption of multi-cloud. So Sandip, you want to say something? Sandip, Amol?
Nothing.
No? Okay. So almost it's been addressed. Amol, you want to add something?
So, see, currently every cloud is offering something unique. They are trying real hard to differentiate themselves from the offerings from the other ones, right? So, for the bank, it is not a commodity yet. We still look at cloud service providers from a fact that what is the uniqueness that they will provide to us and how will we make our applications better. So I feel we still have some distance to go before we have an inter-cloud connect setup.
Yes.
Obviously, the platform which VMware is talking about, it will try to commoditize the entire cloud setups to a certain extent, but frankly, we are not looking at a commoditized cloud setup right now. We look at cloud from the innovative and the uniqueness aspect. So some distance to go before it becomes a commodity. That's my viewpoint.
Okay. Yeah, Bharat, you want to say something more? No? Okay. So we have another question. Can anyone give insight on how to achieve cost benefit analysis for a public cloud? What is the strategy for doing a cost benefit analysis?
I can take that. If that's
yes, sure, please.
Yeah. So whenever you are doing a cost benefit analysis, what you have to do is you first take a viewpoint of, say, 5 years. That's important because you achieve benefits over a period of time. So the approach is very straightforward. I mean, in a modeling, you just need to say that if you are setting up something on your prem, what is the expenditure? So you simply break it up into a capex expenditure as well as a capex line item and an opex line item. And then in the opex line item is where you have to get into the details, like what is the kind of L1, L2, L3 support that is required? What are the license renewals that you have to go through? And when you go into a cloud, you do a similar exercise. Obviously, your capex investments will be fairly limited because they will be centered around connectivity to the host systems in your data centers. Because you still own that data. You are just shipping a part of the data to the cloud. and the OpEx will be the subscription model that you will be having with the cloud provider. So you just prepare this simple spreadsheet, and you will obviously get a cost benefit analysis. I mean, it is that straightforward. Below that, you can write the soft benefits, like how exactly your L1 will function, your L2 will function, how exactly you are taking care of security. There you will not be able to put a value. You will only be able to highlight the soft benefits. You can try to put up a quantum value to it, but nevertheless, it might not work. So very clearly, if you want to do CBA, you do a 5-year modeling. Take a time slot in your mind, do a 5-year modeling. List down your capex opex if you are on prem, list down your capex opex if you are on the cloud, and you will get an answer by yourself.
I'd just like to add to Amol what you just said, Panellists, if you permit.
Yes, please.
The CBA is a good thought process when we have to give it the finance or business approval part of it. Because financial people only understand the numerical values about it, whether it makes sense, yes or no and all. But think about the situation when it is a business critical, and like, for example, emails. It is not that we have to jump into that because we would ignore we'll ignore the financial aspects of it. But probably here we have to look at two fundamental things. One is the total cost of ownership of mine. That is what is called as TCO part of it. The second, how critical it is for the business. If we look at the criticality part of it, and we see that the criticality of it, uptime, having anytime, anywhere, access is the paramount. Say, for example, the CRM for the salespeople. And if it is down when he is just closing the sale, probably we lose $1 million deal rather than having a system which is on my premise about it, right? And hence, if we look at most of these systems, particularly like email-based or the CRMs, which are like Salesforce.com, or for that matter, travel portals where you have to instantly make travel and all that, have been one of the first point solutions that went off on towards the cloud or on the cloud, which is SaaS-based option. So probably when you are looking at your CBA part of it, keep these aspects. Financials should follow the business criticality is what I would suggest. As it was being talked by Hardik earlier, it is about business outcome. We are not in the business of delivering cloud versus on-premise versus hybrid versus, I mean, it's not that I need to satisfy my infallible ask about it. It's more about what am I delivering for my business and how important and how critical it is. Maybe on-premise could be the best answer in some cases, like for example, nuclear plants and all. There is no cloud. We don't even talk about it. Defense forces, no cloud about it. Whatever we may talk and say about VMware, can talk about whatever it is, they will not go on the cloud about it, right? So we have certain reasons where we don't need to be. But it has to be thoughtful from that perspective, yeah?
Right. So, Bharat, I think we can always debate. Yeah, now with network slicing coming up in 5G, I think defense and everybody is, kind of moving in that direction where they don't want to invest in those, managing all those data centers and want to use these things. So I think there's a lot that we can discuss here. But in the interest of time, I would like to start. There is, I think, a question that Sandip wanted to ask Hardik. So, Sandip, do you want to ask your question?
Yeah. Hardik, I want to understand how the data localization is being addressed by VMware or similar companies. What about trust deficit with respect to cloud service provider and the lack of transparency is being addressed?
Sure. Thank you, Sandip. That's a very good question for a lot of people who are looking for the adoption of the cloud. So to address data localization, trust deficit, and lack of transparency, let me touch base at all these 3 points. From the data localization stand, every cloud providers today in India have come up with their own data centers, including the core public cloud service providers also have come up with their data center premises available in India today, which means all your consumed services from an application stand and the data are maintained in India locally today. So earlier there was a concern that I have a SaaS-based applications. The engine is actually running outside somewhere, hosted outside India. So do I have a threat of getting my consumer data or inside informational or critical information going outside India? But today, with the availability of large data centers and the lot of service providers coming in the market, we have been able to address this problem statement of storing and localizing your data within India itself. Coming to the trust part, yes, we are always worried, will there be a theft of my data, or will there be a breach of my data? So there are various mechanisms, right? The way you are trying to protect your data by enhancing your security postures within your data center. Tomorrow, when you're migrating any workload to the cloud, the data in transit are always secured and encrypted. The data at rest within the data center of the service cloud providers are also encrypted at various levels, at virtualization layer, hardware layer, and so on and so forth. Also on top of it, you can bring in your guest key management system solutions, wherein you can build a layer of encryption over and above. So a net, yes, there are various solutions and technology available where you can actually protect your data running anywhere within the India region itself. From the transparency stand, so today all the service cloud providers, be local and the global, everyone has done a lot of certifications and auditing based on the India audit standard requirement or the regulatory guidelines requirement perspective. So and security and the compliance is always a shared responsibility model between customer and the cloud service provider. So what I mean to say is that from the cloud service provider stand, they will definitely guarantee and sign up an SLA to maintain the construct of the infrastructure and to be protected by them. As far as the data is concerned or the application is concerned, which is being brought by customer in their data center, it will be their prerogative to manage those data based on the various levels of security postures you built on top of it. So typically what we have seen, this is more of a shared responsibility model between the consumer and the service provider. So that's how the foundation has been laid by various service providers, and you will see a standardization of this kind of adoption and the policies being built in line with the regulatory standards what we have developed from various verticals in India. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So with that, we will conclude the session. I think this was a very interesting, very insightful discussion. We got to learn a lot from each other, and I hope we will maintain these contacts that we have developed. And as a parting remark, I will say that I was very excited to see the response to my intercloud concept that I threw here. And so Tribe, when it released its cloud white paper, they actually recommended that cloud interoperability and portability standards need to be developed in India to enable the wide adoption of cloud, especially in the government. And we are actually we have actually developed for the last 2 years. We've been developing the cloud interoperability portability standards, which the first release is ready, and we are now in the process of setting up a cloud interoperability test bed. Okay, so I welcome all of you to come and participate in this cloud interoperability exercise that we are trying to do, and if we do it right, we may probably lead this, because there are a lot of barriers elsewhere to make this happen in the rest of the world, but maybe from India we can lead the creation of an intercloud. So thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pamela, Amol, Sandip, Hardik, and as well as Bharat for joining us. Thank you for that.